And it is now official. Daredevil Born Again is the worst season of Daredevil so far. As the Rotten Tomatoes hit and started off rather low, and it's gained some traction, it's still the worst reviewed season of Daredevil. So let's talk about what's going on, the perception, Rotten Tomatoes, and all this other garbage that's getting people upset. I can never keep up with what's the trend these days. Do we believe Rotten Tomatoes or are we against Rotten Tomatoes? Because Captain America Brave New World was accurate. Yeah, that film, it deserves a 51. It's bad. Listen to Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, Daredevil Born Again, it debuted with, it dropped down to a 73? Oh my god, no, Rotten Tomatoes, you can't believe that. Don't trust the critics, they're wrong. Why are you looking at the Rotten Tomatoes number? Okay, to be fair, as of the making of this video, it's up to an 80. So, yeah, but it is the lowest rated season of Daredevil on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I know people are saying you gotta wait till the whole season is done. That's the thing. The reviews being accepted are based on the entire season. Marvel Studios showed the entire season to specific critics that wanted it. So that was an option, and a lot of these reviews are based on that. And looking at the reviews and what people are saying and some of the blurbs, essentially the criticism comes from the fact that this isn't Marvel Studios' attempt to just continue more Daredevil. It's because they changed elements. A lot of people pointed out that they thought that there was too much Daredevil. Like, Daredevil was doing too many Daredevil-y things. They didn't like that he was doing, spin kicks and things when he was fighting Bullseye in the opening episode, which absolutely blows my mind because have you ever picked up a Daredevil comic? Like, this is the most accurate between this and what he does in She-Hulk with the flips and using his actual, abilities and also being able to actually use his billy clubs and actually swinging across buildings and leaping from rooftop to rooftop is literally Daredevil. Like, opening up any Daredevil comic and you're like, oh, look at him do these Daredevil things. So the fact that that's getting criticism is wild to me. And also people were pointing out that White Tiger, spoiler alert, I guess. Well, okay, if you watch the 2 episodes, not really. That when he puts the suit on and the amulet, he has powers that's taking them out of the world. It's in the MCU. Season 1 literally talks about the Battle of Harlem, and we see the Hulk on Ben Urich's newspapers, because he covered that battle and the fallout of the destruction. Here's my take on this. People are now being nitpicky. Yeah, man, there's too many of these unrealistic things in the Netflix world and Daredevil now. How could they? Marvel Studios gotta botch it up, man. I don't like it. You should go back to the old way. The old way? The old way where Daredevil, Matt Murdock, is friends with a dude who is the immortal Iron Fist who fought a dragon in a cave? That realistic world where Jessica Jones can leap a tall building? Where there's a dude up in Harlem who has bulletproof skin? What are we doing here, guys? What are we doing here? Can we all just agree it's nitpicking? For what it's worth, and again, it's my opinion, so probably not a lot, this is the best Daredevil's ever been. It really is. It really is. It's everything you liked about Netflix, but they added actual Daredevil action, which they can now afford to add in there. So, I really don't get the criticism. I am lost as to the Rotten Tomatoes. Really? You're saying this is worse than Season 2? And again, Season 2 is my favorite. Absolutely my favorite of Daredevil. But I can admit that that's the worst season. Half that season doesn't even deal with the actual Daredevil stuff. It's just a backdoor pilot to Frank. And the other stuff is just nonsense, Elektra ninjas in New York hiding in plain sight. What? Come on, guys. Really? You're telling me this is the worst of the 3 seasons? Okay, fine. I'll give you Season 3's better. I could give you that. Maybe. But yeah, this is why I always say Rotten Tomatoes, who cares? Really, who cares at this point, okay? Anyways, I'm done with this video. I'm just going to drop the Rotten Tomatoes rundown spiel because people still think Rotten Tomatoes is a person. Okay, let's explain what Rotten Tomatoes is. So, to make everything really simple, Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregate review site which, if your movie is seen as super successful and the critics love it, you get a fresh rating. If your movie's between amazing and bad, you get a tomato, and if your film is bad, you get a rotten rating. Now, these are calculated not by Rotten Tomatoes, and people never seem to understand this, because they're constantly complaining about how Rotten Tomatoes is wrong about their favorite film and focusing on the audience review, which should tell you everything you need to know because Rotten Tomatoes has two different scores. How this works is that they take all the critics that are approved for their system, aka places like Variety, Deadline, and so forth, including smaller outlets, and they contribute to the tomato meter, while on the other side, you got the, the audience score, and typically there is usually a discrepancy between the two. All these scores are put into a aggregate machine, and, well, it spits out what your Rotten Tomatoes rating would be, slash the overview of it, and you got it with, well, the RT score. And if that's not good enough for you and you want more insight besides just the number, you can click the reviews or the ratings, and it brings you all the way down to the bottom of the page where you can scroll to your heart's content and see what fans and approved critics think of various different projects. There is no singular person at Rotten Tomatoes that's responsible for this score, so when you hear people saying Rotten Tomatoes is wrong, that's because they don't understand how the system works. The system is pretty simplistic. It's a great way to be able to gauge the general consensus of critics and audiences, and, well, it's a service that's become commonly and widely used across the industry to gauge interest and, of course, the love of franchises and projects. So now that we got that out of the way, I'll just add a little bit more on here. I looked through a couple more reviews on what people are saying in the Rotten Tomatoes, and a lot of people are saying that it's just not what they thought it was going to be. That seems to be a resounding thing among the negatives. And again, looking at what people are saying, they're saying that the writing is weird and that there's like some disconnects in terms of the flow of the series. I will say some of the writing is weird and there's definitely a disconnect with what's going on from one story to another, but we know it's the reshoots and you can tell what parts are reshot, aka the entire opening of the first episode, and how they cut around episode 2 and 3 that they shot previously to finally give us Matt starting to consider suiting up again. So that year gap is an artificial additive on there after the events that open up the series with action. So, yeah, there was some disjointed stuff here. But to say that that ruins the series when, as most people like me that probably rewatched it recently in preparation, will tell you that there are 3 episodes of every season of Daredevil, sometimes 2 in a row, where nothing happens. Literally nothing happens. They retread the same dialogue and the same plot beats, explain it to somebody else over and over for like 4 episodes a season. You know, like, again, what are we doing here, guys? Really? Come on. Thank you for checking out that video, and thank you for your continued support. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you will, and if you're so inclined and would like some additional content from us, which includes unfiltered content and bonus discussions, we do offer exclusively in our member section. We hope to see you there. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.